The 16th century was a time of extraordinary intellectual, cultural, and artistic growth. Florence, Italy, was the epicenter of the Renaissance, and it was here that one of the most brilliant minds in history, Leonardo da Vinci, ran his workshop, a space where science, art, and engineering intertwined to create wonders. Leonardo's workshop was not just a space for creating beautiful art, it was a laboratory of innovation. Imagine entering a bustling room filled with canvases, anatomical models, sketches of flying machines, and scientific instruments. Apprentices would be hard at work grinding pigments, preparing canvases, or helping with various experiments. This was a place where art and science were inseparable. Leonardo's approach to creation was unique for his time. While many artists focused solely on painting or sculpture, he believed that understanding the natural world, its anatomy, physics, and mechanics, was crucial to creating lifelike art. And so, his workshop became a hub where artists, engineers, and scientists could collaborate and push the boundaries of knowledge. Like many masters of the Renaissance, Leonardo didn't work alone. His workshop was full of apprentices and assistants who learned from him and contributed to his projects. One of his most notable apprentices was Gian Giacomo Caprotti, better known as Salai, who worked with Leonardo for over 20 years. Salai and other apprentices learned to mimic their master's style and techniques. But Leonardo wasn't just teaching them how to paint or sculpt. He was imparting a broader philosophy. He encouraged them to study mathematics, engineering, and anatomy, blending disciplines to fuel their creativity. Another key figure in Leonardo's workshop was Francesco Melzi, an apprentice who became one of his closest collaborators. After Leonardo's death, Melzi would inherit many of his master's works and notebooks, preserving much of the knowledge that Leonardo developed in the workshop. Salai and other apprentices learned to mimic their master's style and techniques. But Leonardo wasn't just teaching them how to paint or sculpt. He was imparting a broader philosophy. He encouraged them to study mathematics, engineering, and anatomy, blending disciplines to fuel their creativity. Another key figure in Leonardo's workshop was Francesco Melzi, an apprentice who became one of his closest collaborators. After Leonardo's death, Melzi would inherit many of his master's works and notebooks, preserving much of the knowledge that Leonardo developed in the workshop. One of the most fascinating aspects of Leonardo's workshop was how it became a space for mechanical design. He sketched countless machines, from flying devices to weapons of war. Though many of these inventions were never built during his lifetime, his workshop acted as a think tank where these ideas were developed and documented. Workshop in Florence was key to its success. Florence was a city of patrons and artists, and the Medici family, in particular, were influential in supporting the arts and sciences. Leonardo's connection to the Medici and other wealthy patrons allowed him to secure commissions and access the materials and resources he needed for his experiments. Florence was also. Before we dive into the final part of today's journey, let's take a moment to reflect on how Leonardo da Vinci's workshop wasn't just a place of personal innovation, but a catalyst that influenced the entire Renaissance movement. Florence was home to many renowned figures like Michelangelo and Botticelli, and the environment that Leonardo helped foster shaped the future of both art and science. Leonardo's work in Florence was not happening in isolation. He was part of a competitive but collaborative network of great minds that shaped the artistic landscape of the Renaissance. Artists like Michelangelo, who was a younger contemporary of Leonardo, were pushing the boundaries of sculpture and painting. In fact, historical accounts suggest there was a bit of rivalry between the two. Michelangelo was known for his incredible skill in sculpture, while Leonardo was celebrated for his mastery of painting and engineering. These rivalries were productive. They pushed each artist to innovate further and produce some of the greatest works of art we know today. Florence's patronage system, driven by families like the Medici, fueled these creative contests, ensuring that the city remained a hotbed for groundbreaking art and ideas. But what exactly made Leonardo's workshop such a productive space? It all came down to the tools and techniques. Leonardo was constantly experimenting with new methods. For his paintings, he developed his own pigments and experimented with different surfaces, testing how colors interacted with light and shadow to create a more realistic, three-dimensional effect. His technique of sfumato asterisk, a blending of colors and tones, is most famously seen in the Mona Lisa's enigmatic smile. In terms of engineering and scientific discovery, Leonardo's workshop was filled with compasses, calipers, and mechanical models. He would often sketch detailed plans for machines, dissect animals to study anatomy, or create molds for sculptures. These tools, combined with his insatiable curiosity, allowed him to make breakthroughs in multiple disciplines. While the physical workshop in Florence was the center of Leonardo's operations, One could argue that his true workshop lived in his mind, and it's through his notebooks that we get the best glimpse of it. Leonardo's notebooks are legendary, filled with detailed drawings, ideas, and observations on everything from flight to human anatomy. Written in his distinctive mirror writing, these notebooks hold secrets and insights that were centuries ahead of their time. Leonardo kept these notebooks close, using them to record his daily thoughts and ongoing projects. They were full of sketches of inventions, flying machines, parachutes, and even early designs for robots. Many of these ideas never came to life during his lifetime, but his workshop was a place where imagination was limitless. Today, these notebooks are scattered across museums and collections around the world, but they remain one of the greatest testaments to the genius that was nurtured within the walls of his workshop. None of this would have been possible without the support of Florence's powerful patrons, most notably the Medici family. The Medici were not just wealthy rulers, they were great lovers of art and science, and they invested heavily in the city's cultural development. Leonardo's relationship with Lorenzo da Medici, known as Lorenzo the Magnificent, provided him with the resources and opportunities to explore his ideas fully. Florence during this time was a unique environment, where art was not only appreciated, but also financially supported by the upper classes. The competition between artists, the high demand for innovation, and the availability of resources made Florence the perfect incubator for Leonardo's genius.